Hello, welcome back to Football 301. I am your host, Nate Tice. We are going to be previewing Week 9 today. We made it to that halfway point of the 18-week season. Pretty fun slate of games. We got some juicy ones that we're going to get into. We're going to get lost in the sauce with those. Got a couple, crib notes, cheat sheet items at the end. Got some Hail Marys. And also, we're going to touch on some of our favorite mock draft picks. And I say our, because the person that helped me do that mock draft and that helps me do these preview shows every single week and the recap shows every single Sunday, my guy, Mr. Forverts, Charles McDonald. How you doing today, Chuck?
Doing all right. It's a gloomy day in New York City, so I think it's one of those days where it's just like, man, if I could just turn on the TV and zone out and just let the rain noises go in with some crappy movie I've seen 100 times before, that's kind of vibes we're feeling after this show. But going into it, I'm excited. I don't think next week will be as bad as last week was. If you've seen some of the numbers posted by by Josh Dubow of the AP, it was literally one of the most uncompetitive weeks in the history of the NFL. I think after that Chiefs Commanders game was over, it ended up being like top 6 most uncompetitive weeks in the history of the league. So I think just the boom of regression is going to get us back into some good games this weekend. Because I even struggled to write 4 verses. I don't got 4 things to say. I don't want to think about what happened last weekend. That was awful.
I know this was like my week ago. Let's do a big board and watch some college players because there wasn't a lot of juicy games to go over. You've been obsessed with this about how bad the bad teams are this year. This has kind of been one of your little threads you've been pulling on this entire year, and I think you're onto something.
It's unwatchable. There's too many teams that are flatly unwatchable. If you're a Browns fan or a Titans fan, you should not be tuning into these games until next season. And even the Falcons game, it just feels like it's not a waste of a Sunday because we only have so few of these NFL Sundays, but goddamn, guys, could we get it together just a little bit? Don't make me yearn for watching Fresno State versus San Diego State when I'm watching the pinnacle of the sport, man. That was nasty work.
Even going into last week, that's why we had an extended slop watch, and I think there was 8 games that had a touchdown point spread. Something of that sort. Yeah. Usually we get 1 or 2 a week. There was 8. And there's a couple this week, don't get me wrong, but there's also plenty of good ones that we're going to get into. And I'm going to transition nicely here because it's time to get lost in the sauce on those games. This is where we deep dive in our 3 favorite games of the week. Week 9 had a couple good ones, or a few good ones, I should say. Starting out, Broncos at Texans. Texans are a 1.5 favorite. Nice close spread here. Kind of is indicating that Vegas is favoring the Broncos just slightly, which feels about right. The over-under on this game, 39.5. Get ready for a rock fight. And we're going to start when the Broncos have the ball against this feisty Texas defense, because this is our Haas fight of the week. Broncos offense got a burly offensive line. They have allowed the fewest amount of sacks this year. Didn't allow a lot of sacks last year. That's partially some of Bo Nix's play, but also just a really good protection scheme with a really good offensive line. They can run the ball fairly well, I will say. Going against a Texas defense that's just about top 3 in every single metric that you look at in success rate, EPA. I think they're 2nd or 3rd in DVOA. They get after the passer. They are feisty. They turn run plays into a feeding frenzy. A very, very fun defense to watch. But this Haas fight, Chuck, what's grabbing your attention?
Oh, man, I think the over under being 39, I was like, damn, not high, huh? Okay. So sounds like a lot of more points.
I would have probably maybe 35 and a half, 34 and a half.
Yeah. We'll see where that goes. But I think if the Broncos are going to win this game, they definitely have a reasonable chance to win this game. I think it's probably going to come with if they can run the ball. The last thing that I'll be wanting to do is, or find yourself in a situation where maybe you're getting stuffed on 1st and 2nd down, and all of a sudden it's Bo Nix dropping back with pure dropbacks against this defense with, face eaters on the defensive line and a tough secondary to throw against. I'm not sure that that's where you want this game to end up. And it's not and that's a tough proposition too. Just go out and run the ball on the Texans. But Broncos do have one of the better rushing games in the league. 10th in they're 8th in EPA per play, 10th in negative rushing rate, the third in explosive rush rate. So this is offensive line has played well. I think their running game has just come together in a nice way, and it's like Houston's good at defending the run, but they're not like unbeatable there. So if Denver can just kind of stay ahead of schedule on some drives, then I think they have a chance to stay afloat, and that's really where I guess we'll get to the other side of the ball, but I guess that's where I'm looking at where most of the offense in this game might come. Denver's ability to run the ball or not run the ball, because if you can get into the red zone against the Texans, they're giving up a touchdown at 70% rate, 31st in the league, but getting there is really difficult for them. Getting there is really difficult against them, and I think that's where the Broncos are going to have to do it, running the ball, because I just don't see a world where Bo Nix is just going to drop back 100 times versus defense and survive.
Yeah, that's I'll get into that in a sec because I'm right there with you. I think that's the exact way you go about beating this defense, and it's kind of their defensive structure. Anyways, they'll play kind of a quarter shell. I'll get into the zone coverage stuff in a sec, but they rely on being fast, putting a lot of bodies on it. It's the Texans' defense right now is the linear title holder of the Legion of Boom defense. You know, they are the lead. Like if you just go down the DNA and the trees and everything, they're the defense that's most like the Legion of Boom defense in Seattle, as far as not even just like what the defenses they run. I mean, they run a lot of zone, which is kind of the same, but also just like how they're not the biggest defense, but they're feisty and fast, and everyone hits and everyone's at the ball and they throw bodies at you, and they don't blitz a ton, but the pass rush is absurd. And that's I'm right there with you. That's like, okay, how do you beat it? You just got to ugly it up and hit your shot plays and get the chances when you get them, and then just run the ball and can kind of stay out of bad third downs. That's really the formula against any good defense, but really against them. And I was looking it up because Next Gen Stats didn't have the Texans defense with a high pressure rate. True Media, which uses some PFF stuff, it's a little bit higher. I think it's like top 5 pressure rate. But really, I was looking at it and I was like, man, that doesn't feel right, because I watch them and it's a bunch of piranhas. This defense, for like Will Anderson's an all-pro if the season ended right now. But with the pass rush right now, so the pressure rate maybe not super high. They have the fastest time to pressure in the NFL, 2.5 seconds. And their pressures aren't cheap either. Remember, I know 2.5 seconds to pressure.
It's crazy.
It's blink and that's it. It's just they put it on the quarterbacks right away, and the pressures aren't cheap. And that's what kind of, I watch them because they do some funky stuff on third down, but at least base downs, you know, there's not a lot of the Todd Bowles, even or the Broncos defense where it's like, I don't want to call them cheap, but they get a lot of unblocked looks as well because of how funky they can be. The Texans right now, they only have 10 unblocked pressures this entire year, despite having so many overall pressures, tied for the fewest in the NFL with the Raiders. So when they win, it's them winning. It's not some funkiness. It's not some knuckleball look. It's like, nope, they're just throwing fastballs just over and over. They throw 103 miles an hour, try and hit it. Like that's what they do to you. And they get a lot of swing and misses from offenses. So when they win, they win. And so it's not just the unblocked, okay, the ball gets out. It's like, no, guy wins. Oh my God, I wasn't expecting that guy to be unblocked. Oh my God, I got to make a decision. Blah, 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 blah. You know, mistakes happen from there. So they might not be super high in like knockdowns and sacks, but they are winning just with the rushing 4. They're fast. They play that tight coverage. And I wanted to get into this, and I already hinted at it, is that they run so much zone coverage. They run zone at the 4th highest rate in the NFL. About 4 out of 5 snaps, they're going to be in zone. Most of the time it's cover 3, cover 4, not a ton of cover 2. They'll do some invert stuff, which is cool with Petrie. They're the second lowest success rate allowed out of zone coverage, about 40%. So I was looking Bo Nix against zone, because that's how I would play against Bo Nix. I wouldn't really pressure him, and I wouldn't really run man because it kind of simplifies what he can get to. Sure enough, Bo Nix against cover 3 and cover 4 this year. This is from Next Gen Stats. 6th lowest success rate, 5th lowest completion percentage, 5th lowest yards per attempt, but top 10 explosive pass rate. And that makes a lot of sense when you watch the Broncos offense. The shot plays, the big plays, the stuff down the field, like that is what you have to survive against this offense. And I think the Texans down to down have great answers, natural answers to really just stifle the passing game for the Broncos, which has been kind of hit or miss depending on the week. But man, it's like they have they don't have to really change much of what they do. Don't have to blitz much, can just run the zone coverage and just be feisty, survive the run game, survive the shot plays. And I mean, I think they can have a really good shot of controlling it, even if the Broncos kind of get theirs a little bit. But yeah, this side's going to be a fist fight, because I agree with you. I think Sean Payton's thinking the same thing. He's going to get big bodies on the field, and I think he's going to run it at them.
Yeah, it's the best plan. It's not even like I don't even mean really to say this about like to hate on Bo Nix, because I think he's improved over last year, and he's had some nice moments, even though I think, there's still some questions he had about the overall like sustainability of him, like long term when you think about paying him. But you don't, as any quarterback, you don't want to get into 3rd and long against this defense. I mean, like you said, 2.5 seconds to pressure. I mean, like, dude, that's getting Lamar Jackson, that's let alone any other quarterback. So that's really a tough proposition. I'm really excited for this specific matchup, because the other side, we'll see. We'll see. Might be back to reality for Houston.
Yeah, I know. Injuries on this side is Marvin Mims has a concussion, but really, other than that, I didn't really notice anything else. But the other side, Texans offense versus Broncos defense. Patrick Surtain is hurt, but I think he said he is going to play, if I read that correctly. But my note, and I have my top 2 notes here. So I have PS2 is injured. Number 2, good luck. Yeah. That's all I wrote. It was good luck to this Texans offense. Good luck to one of the worst run games going against the Broncos defense. What do you think about this one? Any threads to pull out here? Because the Broncos defense, all those numbers, sacks, pressures, all that, they are at the top. These are 2 of the best 3 defenses in the NFL, 4 at worst. I mean, I don't know if the Texans will be able to run the ball on them, which is an answer you can go against this Broncos defense. But what did you think about this side of the ball?
Man, I mean, it's not pretty. I mean, because it's not. I mean, I went back through some like the Houston San Francisco game, and honestly, I was like, man, this defense is just too banged up. Like I see while they were going to have some success. Yeah, the 49ers. Yeah, excuse me. The 49ers is a little, not even a little too banged up. A lot of too banged up. Where you look at the situations where have the Houston Texans been able to play well on offense this season? At the Ravens, with a decimated defense, they scored 44. Last week against the 49ers, they had a decent game, scoring 26. Had a game where they scored 26 against the Titans, which is fake football. So like they aren't really doing much, because honestly, I was looking at their schedule. I was like, wait, that Seattle game was 27-19. And I remember at the end they finally got like something going, but for the most part, they got punched in the mouth like they do every single week on every single drive where they can't do anything. And I don't really see how. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they scored 0 points this weekend, because they don't have anything for this defense. They don't have anything for most defenses that they play, right? Okay, so what? Obviously you would love to be able to run the ball, but you can't run the ball, and Denver stops the run really well. And then you're going to get into these 3rd and long situations, and we saw how that went against Seattle. They couldn't do anything for 3.5 quarters until it kind of got a little close at the end when they were doing some desperation stuff. So I don't know. I think this is going to be a bludgeoning. I don't see any answers that they have unless CJ Stroud just goes like Peyton Manning mode and absolutely blacks out and throwing pinpoint passes every play, because like that's what it's going to require for them to move the ball. It's just sad like what this Texans offense has become. Like they're nothing. Like they can't run the ball. They don't have a sound play action game. It's not designed well. And I just don't see how they have any success like whatsoever this weekend.
The one little thread I found a thread here. So, okay. All right. The Texans doing jumbo offensive line has been nice, but then it's also like, all right, but if you're in 2nd and longs and 3rd and longs, you're not going to get into jumbo stuff. All right. So take that out. Run game looked okay. I don't think Woody Marks is all that. And I also think that their running back protection is bad, like no matter who's back there. And you're going against this defense that, remember I just said unblocked pressures and all that? Like that's what this defense does. It makes running backs work for it every single snap. All right, that's already all right. Okay, we're already starting off in a bad spot here. Offensive line don't fully trust. Like Eric is gonna be okay, like and all that. Some guys are playing okay, but it's not good. It's not good. It's bottom 5.
They've been talking up Ed Ingram and how he's played this year. I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
Just it's you gotta see the opponents they're going against. Name a 49ers defensive tackle. That's all I have to say. Like name one. Any neutral fan. Name a 49ers defensive tackle. This is my thread. My golden path, and I'll just keep using Dune because Dune has been on my mind. I'm getting addicted to a Dune board game right now. Broncos run man coverage, second highest rate in the NFL. I would too if I had Patrick Surtain, Riley Moss as my top 2 corners. Mentioned this last week. McMillan, you can get a little bit their third corner, but he's still like good or like above average at the very worst as a slot guy. But it's just relative to Moss and PS2. So, and I was like, oh man, maybe it's a Jalen Noel game. All right. But then Christian Kirk's back and this Texans staff just refuses to play their young guys, even if they're talented. All right. Broncos run man, second highest rate in the NFL. They allow the lowest success rate out of man coverage, 36%. Success rate allowed out of man coverage. That is absolutely absurd. That's basically the worst quarterback. That's Dylan Gabriel right now. Stroud versus man coverage this year. This is a long way to get to this. 6th in success rate against man coverage, 52%. Just behind Josh Allen, just above Sam Darnold. 8 of his 11 touchdowns this year have come against man coverage. The Texans do, if they have anything on offense. Stroud is still good. I will maintain that. He had a couple sprays last week early against the 49ers, but then had also some absolutely brilliant throws. Going against, they have some decent receivers. Nico Collins, if he's coming back, he's going to play this week. I think Jalen Noel's good. Higgins isn't bad. Hutchinson isn't bad. We'll see with Braxton Berrios, Christian Kirk if they get involved. But if PS2's banged up, all right, there's maybe if you want to run all that man coverage, maybe we do target McMillan. This is all at the caveat that they play Jalen Noel, so we'll see. But that was the one little thread I pulled at, is that Stroud, who reads the game pretty well, going against man coverage, makes it even simpler for him, gets the ball out, because then he just goes, oh, it's man, I can just get the ball out. I don't have to extend it. I don't have to worry about my offensive line. Just one thing that they maybe can have for this Texas offense, because I agree with you. I think it's going to be a lot like that Seahawks game, where there's going to be some frustrating moments with like one blip of good stuff and then frustrating moments, frustrating series, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Okay, one good drive, 3 and out, 3 out, 3 and out. Like, that's kind of how I feel it's going to go. But if their defense can create some chances, they just have to be good in the red zone and good on third down a couple times. Like, that's the thing, is like this, both sides of the ball, because they're going against 2 awesome defenses, is all right, you got your 5 to 6 chances, got to hit them. I know that sounds simple, but that's kind of just how this game is going to make out. That's why the spread is, or the point total is under 40.
Yeah,
Final.
I'm kind of worried just about the Caley versus Vance Joseph matchup too. Because like what like, because I do think that's a like that like the,
why would you why are you worried about that?
Like, if you're gonna pull any thread, like, that makes sense. But then, like, I'm watching the Texans offense. It's like, not only are the players bad, but this offense, like, it's so unsound. Like you got play calls going the wrong way. Like, the protection doesn't work sometimes. Like, they're running into situations where they got like 2 blockers versus 4 defenders. I'm like, what are you guys doing, man? So, and to me, it's problems that professional teams shouldn't be having. Like, if you're a high school team and we can't count the box right, okay, whatever. Kids got biology homework to do after they probably a little stressed about going to prom with someone else. That's fine. But this is your job, and I think it's confusing that they're as disorganized as they are.
That's the thing about the run game. It's like, it's not only poorly blocked and the running backs aren't all that. It's also just like they run stuff into loaded boxes where they're a number. Yeah. I mean, the Seahawks team was the epitome of that. Just watch their short yardage sequence on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Just they ran 2 runs and 2 literally unblockable. Like, I paused it to go, oh, who messed up here? And I like was drawing it up, like being a little nerd. I'm like drawing it up, and I'm like, you can't block
There's
this.
No one.
Like this.
You can't block it.
You literally can't block it. If you want to run this run, you can't block it. There's going to be, I think the 4th and 1 had 2 guys that you couldn't block. They were down 2 number count, which is just, one is something. Okay, that happens in the run game, but 2 in a short yardage situation is just
4th and 1. How is it even possible? How is that possible? I don't know. Whatever.
And especially in short yardage. Yeah. All right. Final predictions. Texans are a 1.5 favorite. Who are you going with?
I'm going with the Broncos for similar reasons why I picked them against the Cowboys last week. Like, if you're just looking at units,
4
I
units.
think the Broncos offense has a better chance of success against the Texans defense than the Houston defense does against Denver to me. So I think it's going to be low scoring regardless. Like you said, it's going to come down to a few high leverage plays, but I trust, this version of the Broncos over that version of the Texans.
The 4 unit theory. There's something to it, and also, all right, is there a special teams difference between the teams? Not really. Broncos are 18th in DVOA, and the Texans are 11th in DVOA, so it's kind of fairly comparable. And even if you look at percentages, I'm with you. I go with the Broncos as well. Do think it's a tight game, ugly rock fight. 20-17 type game, 17-13 type game, 21-17, very tight game. Comes down to those couple leverage plays, like you said. So I'm right there with you. I think it's going to be a beautifully ugly game. I think it's going to be some really good ball, but not a lot of points. So I think there's some good coaching going on. There's some good players. They just all happen to be on defense in this game. I think is a good way to put it. All right, we're going to get on to another AFC brouhaha against the best offense in history going against not the best defense in history. We got the Colts at the Steelers. The Steelers are 3-point underdogs at home, which makes sense. The over-under is 50.5. Hell yeah. This would be a little bit of difference compared to the other game. We'll start with the Colts have the ball on the road at the Artist formerly known as Heinz Field. What are you checking out against the Steelers defense and this Colts offense that just puts up 40 burgers every single week?
Oh man, I'm expecting more of the same. I don't really see a reason to doubt it at this point. We're 8 games into this, and they're still averaging 1 million points per drive, and they're totally unstoppable. Jonathan Taylor's playing. Seriously, okay, so we're halfway through the season. They're averaging 3.46 points per drive. Almost 3.5 points per drive, which is obviously the best in NFL history, all time good, raising down everyone you play against. And we can say it. The Steelers defense is objectively bad this year. Really, really pretty bad. I've seen this game before this season when the Colts play a bad defense. It doesn't end well because they can run the ball at explosive clips on a consistent basis. There's no answer for that. In the history of the game, if you can run the ball and get 6 yards, a few times a drive, you're going to win just about every game you play. So
it's like a basketball player. If I can get to the rack every single time, if I can get to the hoop every single time, why shoot a jumper? Yeah.
Exactly.
If I shoot layups and 2-footers every single time and I can do it every single time, I'm not going to learn my jumper. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's kind of what that's football at times.
Yeah. And I've gone through it, and I know the Steelers have, they have one of the best red zone defenses in the league this year, but I just kind of don't think that matters this week. Because what's been so frustrating about the Steelers, for me at least, is I thought their front seven would be a lot more productive than they've been, and they're just getting moved away, or they're running in the wrong direction on the back end with their linebacker play. So against an offense that's this cohesive and just this much of a machine, and not even that, just this physical, they want to run you the hell over. I don't really see how they have a chance of really slowing this down. Maybe you can bait Tingle Jones into some interception, but they've done a pretty good job of not even really having to put him in those situations this year. And I think that's going to be more of the same this week. This Colts offense, they've earned our respect for sure. They're one of the best offenses in the history of the NFL. I'm absolutely fascinated to see what happens in the postseason, but this, based on what we've seen, should not be a real challenge for them.
That's it. It's there's not. The Steelers haven't done anything. That's the thing. Another thing about the Steelers defense is the Packers. After they played the Packers, we talked about this a little bit, but they're predictable. They do some funky stuff on the back end, but it's but I know your 3 things that you do. So it's not Jordan Love, every time they did something funky, it was it's this look. All right, here we go. I'm just going to throw it over here. As opposed to going I got to look at the safety and confirm that. It was just okay, you're getting into this funky look, and if I know it doesn't become exotic. It doesn't become funky if that's what you do. Lining up TJ Watt on the same side every single time. All right, well, I'll just run left, or I'll provide chip help over there. And just the first couple things I looked at was starting with the run game was, okay, not only is this the best run game in the NFL, and like you said, explosives. I'm glad you brought up the red zone stuff, but if you're getting explosive scores and explosive gains, we don't have to worry about red zone stuff because we can score outside the 20-yard line. We can score from the 35. We can score from the 50. Like, that's why you kind of take that card away. It's not a methodical drive team. But like I looked at it, and a lot of Taylor's big plays this year, Jonathan Taylor, the Colts run a little bit of everything because they can, is split zone, which is an inside zone run. You'll run towards the tight end, but then the tight end splits across the formation and blocks the opposing edge. It's a classic run. Everybody runs it. They do it with Tyler Warren a bunch. Don't have to have him block at the point of attack. He gets him on the move, gets some little burliness in there. And a lot of their big runs have been off a split zone. And want to know the usual times you run split zone, unless it's your fastball, is going against teams with bad linebackers or linebackers with bad eyes. Guess which defense has the linebackers with bad eyes? The Steelers. And so I think there's going to be a ton of split zone. And I looked it up on FTN. They run more inside zone, this is categorized, than anybody else in the NFL. The Colts do about 8 times per game. They've run at 59 carries for 297 yards. They're 6th at yards per carry at 5 yards per carry, 6th in explosive run rate, 7th in DVOA, because you can do that on FTN. Steelers defense against inside zone, 10th worst yards per carry at 4.6, 7th highest explosive run rate allowed. So it's just a lot of again, that term natural answers. Colts just keep doing what they're doing. And even with Josh Downs and Anthony Gould, both missed practice, they're slot guys. It's not like I look at it and go, oh man, that's going to really hinder them. It's, I don't know. I'll just run the ball and I can just target Tyler Warren, or I can just have Alec Pierce or somebody else just run past the slow corners that aren't JPJ. If not anyone noticed this, Tucker Kraft going off last week. Now they have to defend Tyler Warren and the Steelers against tight end targets, according to Next Gen Stats. 4th highest EPA per dropback, 15 explosive passes, which is the most in the NFL, most yards per game allowed to tight ends, 4th most yards per attempt, 9.1 yards per attempt allowed to tight ends right now. So I think this is going to be a couple shot plays, a lot of run the ball, and a lot of Tyler Warren. And unless it's some Tomlin magic, some Tomlin voodoo, I just don't see what they can pull at.
Yeah, it's just too much going in the other team's direction, or it's too much going in the Colts' direction as far as just easy answers kind of beat up this Steelers defense. And like I said, I keep waiting for the defensive line in Pittsburgh to have a big game, big performance. Don't think it's coming this year. Really, really kind of disappointing the step back they've taken up there. But hey, that's good for the Colts because it seems like it's demolition derby time to me. And then you get to just see if Aaron Rodgers can just kind of scrape together something to try and keep up with them. I don't know. I know.
Keep the good times rolling. All right, the other side of the ball, a little more interesting, I guess, but it's not like something super stood out. But Nick Cross and Kenny Moore did not practice for the Colts on Wednesday, so I do have to mention that because that's gives against a team that literally has one wide receiver. It still matters. Yeah. That's the Steelers offense. But what did you think about this side of the ball? Anything stand out to you?
Honestly, the more I dug into it, I guess the more I got worried for the Steelers in an overall sense because
your tone, I haven't gotten that from you at all, that you're worried about where the Steelers are at right now.
but it's just, this is not a bad offense. I think overall, this is a pretty good offense. Like you said, they only have one receiver. I think they're probably a little disappointed with how monolithic their running back room has become. They were probably expecting a little more from Caleb Johnson this year. Although I understand why you can't put him in the game after he doesn't know the rules on kickoff. You can't put him in the game anymore. I get it, Mike. I get it.
In college,
right? But it's a rule as old as a game. You muff the ball, go dive on it. How do you let it just? Yeah. How are you walking off the field after you muff a punt? You can't play anymore. Absurd. We should cut you, honestly. If there wasn't a salary cap. But this offense is just it's boom or bust, and which is okay like some weeks, but I think we've seen the past few weeks it's not enough to buoy their defense. Like when they get into these games against the Packers, we scored 25 points, and you have some drives where you're moving the ball, and overall, they're 9th in points per drive this year, but they're also 30th in drives without a first down. So it's like we're all or nothing. And I think that makes a little bit of sense. It makes a little bit of sense when you think about where their passing game is and where they kind of are as a team, because they just have so few options to really try and move the ball consistently. And I think that like against the Colts, it's not like they have the most overwhelming defense, but they do like just enough to kind of keep things in front of them and, kind of try to survive these drives and get the ball back to the hands of their offense, which is, just mowing people down. And I think that's kind of how this one's going to play out. Like I expect the Steelers to have drives where it looks all right and the offense is flowing and they're moving the ball. And if they can run the ball well, that's usually means they're going to have a pretty good drive and score a touchdown. But on those drives where they don't, hey, you're asking a lot from your defense there, man, to keep going out and stopping that Colts offense. So I honestly think this game will look similar to that Packers game they played, where it's like, oh, you guys don't suck, but you're not good enough to actually beat the elite tier of the NFL, which is kind of where they've been for the past 4 years in Pittsburgh. Maybe.
Yeah, it's a solid. But solid offense, I'm right there with you. I think it's more just like an average offense. It's just they can't survive shootouts. Like if they had if they had the defense that we maybe were optimistic about, this is a good formula. Like this is they can, stay in a lot of games, ugly it up, and then hit enough plays where Rodgers can spin it. They're not a shootout offense. Like Rodgers is not built that way anymore. And just how he plays, he attacks so quickly and so underneath with the occasional go ball. He doesn't throw over the middle, so you're not going to get a ton of yak. He checks it down a ton, so it's tight ends or running backs over and over. So really, like their formula is, if they go against a defense that doesn't tackle, okay, then they have a chance. But if they go against, like the Packers last week, one of the best tackling defenses in the NFL, they got no shot, because no one's popping a play with the ball in their hands. So I was even looking for the Colts, because now you got Lou Anarumo, who can do some funky stuff and maybe get something. I'm curious if he does like a little hot dropper. Like they feign a blitz and then drop someone over the middle, because Rodgers, old Rodgers, that's been something that gets him, as opposed to young Rodgers, because then he would improv, and now he can't improv. And then the Colts defense, they're pretty good against throws under 10 yards. It's not the perfect defense. I think you can get them, but I just don't think the Steelers team is set up to get them. On deep throws, they're opportunistic. They'll allow some explosives, don't get me wrong, but they also get a bunch of picks. And they're really good against throws over the middle and intermediate stuff. And then maybe deeper stuff can get them. But that's the thing is Rodgers, when he throws a deep stuff, it's like the occasional go ball. It's not some big dig post combo. Like with the Rams got this defense with Stafford, because he's willing to throw those. So that's the thing is like, it's not a amazing, overwhelming defense. They're solid, but it also, you can get at them. It's just, I don't think the Steelers are built to get after them unless their defense create some turnovers against a team that's not really turning the ball over, get some big sacks against a team that's not really getting a lot of sacks, can control the game a little bit. They have to hope for some flukiness, I think, for this to all work out.
Yeah, it's gotta be frustrating. Like, it'd be frustrating being a fan of the Steelers right now, because man, like you finally, like, the offense is good enough to like win a playoff game if you had the defense to balance it out on the other side. Like by itself,
they're 12th in DVOA. The Steelers offense is 12th in DVOA right now.
11th in EPA per play.
That's a win.
Points per drive. That's good. It's just not good enough for this defense.
Yep. I know, and that's the thing is, it's good. They're very matchup dependent, and the thing is, their defense, it doesn't matter who they go against, you can get after them. So it's not a ugly
the reverse
formula
of what you've been fighting for, Steelers fans.
Yeah, I know. God, I know. I'm glad sometimes I'm not a fan of some teams. They got Colts this week, then they got Chargers, and then they got Bengals, Bears, Bills, Ravens. Whew. Interesting next month. We got some defenses
we're headed towards
after.
Yeah, we're headed towards the 10-7, where everyone feels bad by week 18 again.
Then they go to Kansas City again.
Get smoked. Yeah.
Another one of those. I know. That's the thing is, I think this offense has been a win for the Steelers, and as good as they hope, I think the young offensive line is cool. I think Jalen Warren is a really cool player, a good running back. It's just that DK Metcalf and Rodgers have a nice connection. It's just there's a cap to this offense right now, and I think that's what's tough with the defensive pairing. All right, final predictions. Steelers again were 3-point underdogs. Colts are 3-point favorites at the stadium formerly known as Heinz Field.
I'm taking the Colts. I do think this game could be competitive for like 2.5 quarters until the leading portion starts and it kind of gets out of control.
Yeah, I know this old coach adage, just Steelers need some turnovers. That's really it. And the Colts have been really good at taking care of the ball. So I'm going Colts as well. I think Colts cover as well, but I don't think it's a total blowout because I think the Steelers offense is respectable. But I do think it's just the Colts offense is too much to keep up. That's why the over-under is 50.5. So I do think there will be some points, some good drives on both sides, but the Colts win out as the game goes along. But yeah, I always say formerly as Heinz Field because when I was at Pitt too, we shared everything. It's literally their complex is a duplex with the Steelers, and they shared Heinz Field. When they get in the red zone, they would like do a little whole thing with the ketchup and pouring and everything, and I'm like, you're just going to go away with history of Heinz Field? I don't know. So that one hurts me more than most other stadium changes. That one for a reason hurts me.
I don't even know what it's called now. I still call it Heinz Field too. It's always going to be Heinz Field.
I refuse to acknowledge any other name. It's like it's just I don't know. That one's perfect. It's freaking Pittsburgh. It should be always Heinz Field. What is it called now? It is called Acrisure Stadium. Acrisure Stadium. Yeah, Heinz Field. All right, we are going to take.
I would say people still call it the Staples Center. No one's calling that the Crypto.com Arena. It's the Staples Center.
No, it's Staples Center for life. Yeah, that's absolutely the Staples Center, which is hilarious because it's a corporate name. It's like, no, that's what it is. Heinz to me at least is like a family name kind of thing,
Yeah, that's the branding I like. I don't like that branding. I like this branding I'm familiar with.
Mega store branding, not the other branding. I know,
not the other one.
You've seen Basketball, right? The movie?
Of course, yes.
Okay, yeah. The opening of that when they're talking about stadium names and everyone in the movie. Yes. That's what this kind of feels like, this conversation.
Oh, God.
You rip on me 13, 14 more times.
Thursday.
All right, we are going to take our first break. We'll come back with another game we get lost in the sauce with, and then cheat sheet. See you guys in a sec. All right, we are back. Chiefs, Bills 2-point underdogs at home at their stadium, swan song of this stadium right now. For too much stadium talk. Chiefs, Bills. This is a late afternoon game. I feel like they play so much. There's so many games to look back on, so many same players, so much. The staffs are more or less exactly the same every year. The over-under of this game is 52.5. Hell yeah. We'll start when the road team has the ball. The Kansas City Chiefs, who are rolling right now. I also meant to mention this. This is how good that Colts offense is. So DVOA, sometimes we use rankings and it doesn't do a great job of kind of saying the difference of the rankings. Like we'll go, this team's 4th, this team's 5th, but then you actually look at the numbers and it's like a huge gap. So DVOA, it's basically what you're above an average team. The Colts are in first right now at 37.7%. The Chiefs are in second right now at 24%. The difference between that 13% is the same between the Chiefs in second and the Eagles in ninth. So that's how good that Colts freaking offense has been. But this Chiefs offense has been rolling as well, going against a Bills defense that loses Ed Oliver, gains Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt, and is just trying to find some answers. Found some answers last week, but going against a much stiffer test. What are you thinking about this side of the ball? What's grabbing your attention, Chuck?
I would be terrified if I was a Bills fan. I think if I wouldn't even be thinking about what happened in Carolina.
Oh no, not again!
Not again! Here we go. Oh wait, we just lost Ed, and the Chiefs are rounding form. I wouldn't put any stock into what happened in Carolina last week. Like preparing for this game. Like is there a difference between
Andy Dalton and Patrick Mahomes? You think
Mahomes just a little bit? Shoot, Andy Dalton looked like he'd never played a football game before. It was baffling, unbelievably bad. You're not gonna get that this week, obviously. And man, the Bills are 31st in explosive play rate right now. there's been like a point since I want to say like since the injuries started piling up when they played the Jaguars in London. Since then, like they've been atrocious on defense. I mean, they don't really do anything well. And it hasn't been quite as bad as it was towards the end of last season when they were like quite literally giving up 40 points a game, like at during certain stretches of that season. But it's still not at a point where you probably feel good about your chances to slow down the Chiefs in the current iteration, especially now that Rashee Rice is back, and it looks like he's going to have an absolutely monster season the rest of the way. I was trying to find like some threads to pull at, and the Bills, they do still get a lot of pressure. They got a high sack rate, but man, like I just don't view that the same when you're going against Patrick Mahomes. Like that's because we've seen him this year, especially. I feel like he's been at his best, like when he's doing some of the escapability stuff and using his legs more. Now, I wish he would stop trying to truck guys so much, but it's good that like he's willing to use that facet of his game. And I think that's where another area where they can hurt the Bills defense. So, like they're going to stay on schedule. They're going to stay on schedule against Buffalo's defense, and they've been incredible. Like on 3rd and 4th down runs, it seems like Kareem Hunt is going to convert just about every single one of those until he decides to hang it up, because he's been really strong on those runs this year. Like any answer that the Bills could have on defense, it just feels like the Chiefs have a strong counterpunch. And even when you go back and looking through the Bills' schedule prior to whatever happened in Carolina last week, like the Falcons, whose offense has flatly not been good this year, scored a bunch of points on them. Drake May torched them. The Saints almost scored 20. The Dolphins had some success. I mean, it's still not where it needs to be, or not with what we associate like the reputation of Sean McDermott as a defensive play caller. So I'm scared. I'm scared for them. I think this is another big Mahomes day. I think this is one of those days where maybe you look at the stat sheet for Kareem Hunt, and it's like 19 carries for 54 yards with like an 80% success rate or something like that. So I don't really see where they're going to be able to slow down the Chiefs offense.
Yeah, it's another pray for a turnover unit, which the Bills have been. I mean, shoot, just play Andy Dalton every week, and of course you get them. It's the Chiefs' run game, again, isn't super explosive. Maybe Brashard Smith gives them some juice instead of Pacheco, because I know Pacheco's banged up. But you can run on the Bills' defense. You can get run for explosives on the Bills' defense. And it's like, all right, the Chiefs it might look like when the Chiefs went against the Jags defense like a month or so ago, where it was just like, like they just moved the ball at will, like 68% success rate on the day, something like that. And that's kind of how this feels like. And you're just praying for a turnover if you're that Bills defense, or just kind of like what the Jags got with that, the pick six, Devin Lloyd and all that. So it's like, even though the Chiefs run game is a jab right now, their passing game is so much more explosive than it's been the last couple seasons. It's you mentioned the Mahomes scrambling stuff. I will say that the Bills have always had fun little curveballs and changeups against Mahomes as a scrambler and a creator. They'll do the odd mirror stuff, with the 3 D linemen, the linebackers kind of picking them up, basically QB spying them. They've done it with Matt Milano over the years. So they do have they've done that a bunch against the Chiefs because they've played so many freaking times. So, but that is the one thing that's like, okay, they can maybe limit his scrambling. But the thing is, he's been great from the pocket. Attacking underneath isn't as much of a lost cause as maybe last year was, because these guys can actually make guys miss and break tackles. Rashee Rice is incredible with the balls in his hands. Xavier Worthy is kind of slotted into his right role. Kelsey looks good, lost some weight and kind of just is good in his role right now. He's more of a zone beater type right now, and also kind of like, the extended play stuff. And so I do think that even passing wise, this offense, like Mahomes gets rid of the ball quickly. He makes a lot of good decisions. If you play man, they have enough man beaters. If you play zone, which the Bills like to do, they got a ton of zone beaters that they can run all over the yard. They got enough deep speed, and Thornton, Worthy, Holly Brown, I'll even throw his name in there. Rashee Rice is a better deep ball guy than people realize. It's just like they have a lot of answers right now. The run game is more just running back talent. It's not blocking. It's not, that's the thing. It's not like where it's like, oh, we got a D line that can really take advantage. It's like, no, but the Chiefs O line is good right now. I would even say very good. And I think Trey Smith is back. So that also helps them out too. So I don't mean to sound all doom and gloom, but I think any Bills fan that's watched this defense realizes how weak their spine of their defense has been and how gettable they've been. And, it comes down to their safeties tackling. And I think they've been taking a lot of bad angles when they have to come fill up the run. So I think the Chiefs are just going to be able to pepper them throughout the game. And then maybe you get some yak and maybe get that big play because there's a bust on the back end. I should maybe made this my Hail Mary, my bold take is that I think there's going to be a nice little Tyquan Thornton 50-yard bomb in this game, touchdown, because I think they'll catch the safeties just coming up and getting caught and all that. Also, the other thing, the Chiefs will go bigger personnel. Bills defense against bigger personnel, freaking horrendous as well. They give up an explosive play 1 out of 5 snaps when they play against big bodies, which is crazy amount. So it's like, I know. It's like if Ogunjobi came back and Hoyt came back and Ed Oliver stayed healthy. Okay, you got some bodies to throw out deep. Now it's like Ed Oliver's gone. So it's like, all right, hopefully Joey Bosa gets some pressure for you. It's tough. It's tough sledding right now because I guess we can get to the other side of the ball because the Bills' offense is rolling. That's what's kind of they can throw it with Josh Allen or they can run it down your throat going against the Chiefs' defense. It's good, but there's some pickable aspects. What'd you think about this side of the ball?
I'm excited for this side of the ball a little bit more than the other side because I think Kansas City's defense is interesting. I think personnel wise, like there's still a lot of room for them to improve in the offseason, but they're still like coordinated well and they have enough high end talent that they can muck up some games. Like even though the Commanders and where they are is not going to be as tough as Buffalo, you still see moments where like Karlaftis can take over a drive or Chris Jones can get after you, and they have like kind of like those high end players and that can help you get out of high leverage spots. But I think overall there's still a lot of room for Buffalo to potentially match what Kansas City does on offense. Like this is one of those games where it really can go back and forth as we've seen a million times in the playoffs. In the regular season. But like, again, I think if you're Buffalo, there's a very clear path for trying to win this game. And it's just run the ball. They want to run the ball. They're dead last in first down pass rate, 36.1%. Second in EPA per rush. Chiefs are 26th in EPA per rush. I mean, that kind of cleans it up to me. James Cook has had an incredible year. We've talked about it before, but still, like the development he's shown as a rusher has been unbelievable, going back from Georgia to where he is now. And then even if you just look at last week with Carolina, obviously the Chiefs defensive line is in a better spot, but Buffalo's offensive line is good enough to like legitimately take over games when they're playing well. I mean, I dropped on the review episode last week, but James Cook averaged 8 yards before contact per carry. So he had 19 carries for over 210 yards, and they couldn't get a hand on him. It's going to be a little tougher this week, but still, if you can just survive like the few plays game where Chris Jones is motivated and he's really trying to get into the backfield, man, they can absolutely blow these guys off the ball when it comes down to like just getting downhill. And then obviously Josh Allen's gonna participate in that as well. So like it's easy to see when you look at the makeup of the roster. Oh yeah, of course they don't want to run. They want to throw on first down. Why would they? They've got the Hulk at quarterback and the Avengers up front. James Cook is playing well too. So I think that's going to be the formula. Run the ball. Try to just milk the clock if you can, because we've seen so many times. How many times have we seen Patrick Mahomes against the Bills? Oh, there's 20 seconds left, and the game's over. Yeah, I know it's over. So this
42 seconds. Oh boy,
damn, left too much time. 1.5 seconds, too much time, Bills. So I think this is the way. Control the ball, control the clock. I know that analytics people have found that time possession to be an overrated stats at times, but I think in a game like this, it's going to matter. So hold on to it. Don't let them get the ball. And I think that's an avenue for success for them.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get what you're saying with the time possession thing, because it's like they can't score without the ball. So let's hold on to the ball. That's that's kind of one of the nice things of football. I pulled out kind of the same thread you did, is that I do think that this Chiefs defense, which will continue to get better, I think the back end is getting sorted out, but I do think you can run on them. And I think the Bills, which has, either one of the best or the best run game in the NFL right now, even without using Josh Allen's legs. They can definitely run on this defense, especially big bodies, which I keep thinking is the Bills' best look, which I think is just so funny from what they were under Dable when they're doing 10 personnel, 0 personnel with 5 receivers and 4 receivers on the field and no backs, no tight ends. And now I think their best looks are when they have Jackson Hawes out there. They have Reggie Gilliam, their fullback tight end hybrid out there. And I look, and sure enough, their third in success rate on plays with 2 or fewer receivers, their third in rushing success rate, their third in EPA per play. They get an explosive play, or explosive pass about 16% of the time. Anything about 14% is good. And I looked at Chiefs defense because this is always the classic way to get after Spags. Get them into their base defensive look. I have used this talking point for 5 years now, and it kind of got away for 2 years when they had a elite defense, and now it's more of a good defense. But this is kind of rearing its ugly head, and I notice it when teams are able to do it. But it's just more that the Chiefs' offense is rolling, so other offenses can't do this. But when they get big bodies on the field, or going against big bodies, I should say, on the offense. When they match with base, they're 27th in EPA per run, 26th in rushing success rate. But they also allow a ton of explosive passes out of these looks. 6th highest rate, 21% explosive pass rate. I think Jordan Love leads the NFL right now, I think at like 20%. So again, you're basically leading the NFL how many explosive passes they get up. So I think that, like you said, I think we're both on the same talking point here. Ugly it up, go for 10 play drives, maybe get a pass hail maker, get some big bodies on the field, and just understand this is a team game. This is complementary football type of game, because that's what you have to do against another elite team. I just had the Chiefs number 1 in my power rankings. It's just because I just feel so good about where they're at. But the Bills have an answer. It takes patience and it takes a little bit of luck from their defense, but they do have a path to kind of keep this ugly.
The thing that I'm with you, like I think the Chiefs end up representing the AFC in the Super Bowl again this year. But the thing that I keep coming back to was the game that felt like, oh, they're back. Maybe they're back. That Jacksonville game, they lost. They still did lose that game. So hey, they're gettable. They're gettable. Even when it feels like it's insurmountable, they are still gettable. So I think it's going to be a really fun game.
No, absolutely. All right, now time for predictions. Again, the Chiefs are 2-point favorites on the road at Buffalo.
I'm rolling with the Bills. I think they're going to roll. I think the offense can do it. I think Josh Allen and that run game can beat them up enough where they can just scrape by the end. And even though the spread's 2.5 or 2, or no, the Chiefs are favored by 2. Yeah. Okay, so I'm taking the Bills. I thought it was Buffalo favored.
Love it.
But yeah, Chiefs favored by 2. I'm taking Buffalo all the way.
Oh man, I'm going to go Chiefs. But I think this game's going to be awesome. Of course, it's Chiefs Bills, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and it's an afternoon game too. We don't have to wait until night to watch it. So I'm going to go Chiefs, but the Bills are very live. I mean, obviously they're only 2-point underdogs, but they're very live. It's just, they actually have, again, natural answers what they want to do. So I'm not opposed to what you're saying there, but we got a little different pick there. I think it's going to be an awesome game. All right, now it's time for the cheat sheet. The cheat sheet is one key matchup or one thing to watch in a couple more games, kind of a little appetizer or a little dessert, a little nosh after the main course. We'll start Vikings at Lions, and NFC North, NFC Central battle. The Lions are 8.5-point underdog or 8.5-point favorites at Ford Field. So why are we talking about this game? Why is it a cheat sheet item? What do you have for me, Chuck? Because I got some fun stuff to throw out in this game.
Well, it's an overall question.
Yeah.
It's an overall question.
It's a rhetorical game.
Carson... yeah, this is a rhetorical question because it doesn't matter now. But if Carson Wentz did not get hurt last week, would he be starting in this game?
Yeah.
Okay, right? So then what bar does JJ McCarthy need to clear in this game for you to be like, okay, that was all right? Because look, I don't think the Vikings have not said anything explicitly that they do not like JJ McCarthy. But can we be honest with ourselves and read the tea leaves here? They tried to sign Aaron Rodgers in March. unless you're like a delusional Vikings fan, you all know Aaron Rodgers was not going to sit behind JJ McCarthy for a single play this season.
Right.
That was to be the starter, obviously.
Right.
They don't really seem to be any rush to put him back since that week 2. If you want to call it football against the Falcons, I totally understand like why they're hesitant now. Now that we've seen him play, I understand why they've been hesitant to put him back on the field. That I was going to say this is a tough matchup for JJ McCarthy, but like with how he's looked, every matchup appears like it's going to be tough. So the one key matchup I have, I guess, is like, can JJ McCarthy have the first game of his career where he looks like remotely competent? Because I understand that the week 1 game against the Bears, he got NFC Offensive Player of the Week for some reason because people just forgot like what happened in the first 3 quarters of that game. It was really strange. Like, by the end of it, by the in within the same game, you can't remember what you just watched. And now he's NFC Offensive Player of the Week. It's as the Zoomers like to say, we are fully in our Aura Max era of NFL evaluations. Like there's no like real reason that anyone is hyping anyone up else because other than like they like them. Like you want to look at the Baker MVP hype versus Daniel Jones MVP hype. Like one of them's actually put up MVP caliber numbers, and it's not Baker Mayfield this season. So it's just a little interesting, like where we find ourselves. But for JJ McCarthy, I just want to see him more competent. Yeah. I mean, dude, we were talking about Max Brosmer starting these games a couple weeks ago. What are we talking about? Can he play or not? It sounds like he can.
Do you see Kevin Seifert, who's covered the Vikings for years, even back to when my dad was there? Do you see his quote on this?
No.
This is how he ended his little article about kind of what the quarterback situation is, why Wentz was playing. And by the way, Kirk Herbstreit calling out Carson Wentz has not aged well after saying, he's got to suck it up and go out there. And he's like, literally has one arm with a brace on. And it's like, Wentz, and I've joked about this, like Wentz, there's this old song the Jackass movies would play is if you want to be dumb, you got to be tough. And that's Wentz plays like a dumb quarterback, but he's freaking tough. I'll give him that. He's tough as hell.
He will die out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, I respect that. Like, that's the thing. There's a lot of NFL quarterbacks are really freaking tough. But it's just so like calling him out was just like, oh, come on, dude. But anyways, back to the Seifert quote. That's how he ended his little article. He said, a person with knowledge of the Vikings thinking, half joked that O'Connell left Wentz in last Thursday night's game because Brosmer, who had a strong training camp and preseason, might prove a better short-term option than McCarthy. With Wentz done for the season, now's the time to find out who, if anyone, the Vikings can move forward with that quarterback. The fact that people are saying that is just already, there's like usually when you have a quarterback that's really exciting and young, you're just like, like when Drake May last year, you could tell the Patriots coaches and stuff are like, well, we want him out there, but we just don't want to like ruin him, which I respect. And I understand that the Vikings O-line is not great right now. That's was something I was high on, but it also just seems like they're like, well, everything has to be perfect before we can even just think about having him out there. And it's just like just reading tea leaves and whispers and context, all this, it just seems like they really just are like, he needs time. And we're really telling you guys, he needs time. So maybe he surprises us, but it's, I don't know, man. It's weird. It's a very weird situation how they're how they're just handling all of this. Yeah. I know it's not perfect. I get it. O-line's getting battered, all that stuff, but
okay, yeah, but they trade up for you in the first round. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. And based on what they've traded, it shouldn't have to be perfect. But the last thing I have on JJ McCarthy, really scary to me if I was a Vikings fan. You go back to those first 2 weeks, you play against the Bears and the Falcons. What has happened to those defenses since that game has happened? Bears, not good defense. Falcons been about a bottom 6 defense, including the Bills game. The Falcons have still been about a bottom 6 defense in terms of like success rate since that game and points per drive since that game. He got pantsed by both of those defenses. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd be a little scared that you might have just spent a first round pick on someone who's like not even an NFL caliber player, if we're going to be honest about it.
Everything just has to speed up for him. And this is the conundrum of it. Everything has to speed up. The only way you can speed up things is by playing, but it's a catch-22, but they don't want to play them and also try to convince their vets, we're
trying to win, guys.
Hard. They're trying to win. I had them as a playoff team. Look at the moves they made. Look at all the vets they're signing. I mean, they're trying to push.
I meant it more in the sense that like, Scott, like, because I feel like fans forget that there's a whole thing that happens Monday through Saturday that we don't see. The players, though,
right,
they're a part of that. They know when their quarterback's a bum, you know, and they might not say anything to the media, but they're talking to each other for sure. So you can't tank the credibility of the team, like because we see this sometimes where fans are like, why are they sticking with the vet? Because you have 21 other players on the field that you have to respect their efforts. You know, you can't all just throw it into this quarterback. Right. Yeah. The quarterback who can't do anything. Now I might get cut and I got to go find another career. Like, no. You owe it to more people than just the quarterback, even if he's a first round pick. So that to me is a pretty clear sign that they're a little scared about where he is right now.
You think Justin Jefferson wants to go, oh, you know, my numbers aren't where they are, but, you know, we got to develop this guy. I'm like, no, he wants to see Jamar and go, you see, I went for 140 and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. You know, like,
right.
They're human. They're human.
Do you remember when Justin Jefferson was asked about J.J. McCarthy in August, and they were asking, hey, like, what's the expectations on this guy? And Justin basically said, I'm paraphrasing, he's like, there shouldn't be any expectations on this right now. You know, we're still in the process. We're still trying to figure it out. I was like, usually you don't hear someone like be so like flatly neutral about a rookie quarterback coming in. That's interesting, especially
usually
someone
who's just wait. Or he's exciting, or he's willing to chuck
like,
that
we need
thing.
Patience.
Or like,
we need patience here. I'm like, whoa, okay. Interesting.
And also to top this all off, so it doesn't even matter who they're going against. You just mentioned the defenses McCarthy's played against. And he might do some things, maybe sitting out has calmed him down. That's the thing. You never know in the NFL. But it's just the early indicators haven't been great. They're going against the Lions defense. First in DVOA, third in success rate allowed, 7th against the run, 2nd against the pass, 9th in EPA per play, 7th against the pass, 6th in sack rate. They play a ton of base and they beat you the hell up. That's what this Lions defense does. I'm all on board again with the Lions. Act like I never said anything before the season. Let's go Detroit. Detroit football.
That's right.
But they play a ton of man coverage. They beat you up. They will double team your number one receiver. They do some cool bracket stuff, which I really like. Guess who has the number one receiver? Minnesota Vikings. So now you're going to force J.J. McCarthy to come off Justin Jefferson and trying to find the secondary reads. Maybe they have a good game plan for it, but we'll see. But no. Also, the other thing, Vikings like to run a lot of play action. Kevin McCollum, they do some really cool stuff out of play action. That's how I would help a young quarterback. And if you look, the Lions defense, 2nd in EPA per play against play action, 5th in passing success rate allowed, 1st in sacks against play action, because what they do is actually kind of ingenious. They call it hug rush. It's kind of green dogging. But against play action, one of the linebackers will just run up onto the running back. He's not exactly blitzing, but he's occupying the running back. And so a lot of play action plays are touchdown to check down, deep pass to check down, deep pass to check down. Well, what if the check down's not there? You better be letting that deep pass rip like that. That's what hindered Baker a little bit, was he kept going like play action. All right, well, Mike Evans kind of got washed out there before he got hurt. Where's my check down? Oh, shoot, pressure's here. And I mean, the Lions got Aleem McNeil back. Roy Lopez is playing great. Aiden Hutchinson, Al-Qaeda Muhammad. So it's a very tough matchup is what I'm saying. And the Lions defense rocks right now. This was a long cheat sheet.
It was.
We did not hide this behind a bottle here. This was an entire 2 pages of cheat sheets right here.
I honestly this week I got upset because I remember thinking about back in March when Ruffini and Breer were reporting that the Vikings were heavily interested in the idea of signing Aaron Rodgers, and people were getting mad at me for just for saying that's interesting, because to me that shows there's some confidence issues going on, right? Yep. And look at us now. They let Corsos die on the field not to play J.J. McCarthy. They literally let him die on the field, man.
I know, and it's the thing I concerned about him with his weight coming out of college, and I know he reportedly put on weight. I know they had stuff that I think they had some concerns about that, and then sure enough, he gets hurt again. And it's like, that's got to be a whole thing too. Like, it's hard to put on weight if you keep getting hurt, but we also need you to work on the quarterback things. And there's just a lot he needs to work on. He's a project. And I think he's more of a huge project than I think anyone sold him as. He played in a Harbaugh offense, Michigan. He also threw 180 passes, which is when I evaled him. That's why I had him as a day 2 guy. It was he's a project. But we will, predictions. We'll just end with this. We just can't keep saying it over and over. I just need more reps on McCarthy. They need more reps on McCarthy. We'll see how it goes against this really good Lions defense. Lions are 8.5-point favorites. Do you think they cover?
Yeah, I do. I have a little too faith in JJ McCarthy, but thanks to blowout.
I'm also saying the Lions win and cover. Yeah. Their offense too also matches up well against the Vikings defense.
Yeah, I was about to say more of a slow burn blowout. Maybe it doesn't get out of hand right away because the Vikings defense fights, but it's 3 quarters. You got no points. All right, I'm out of here.
when the Vikings are like 2 for 10 on 3rd down, it's like, oh god, that kind of one of those games. Yeah,
you got it.
Hey, maybe we'll eat crow on Sunday and McCarthy plays well. Who knows? But just the early signs have not been great. And I always try to be a quarterback optimist and we go like, oh no, he's doing this thing well. Those were pretty ugly games when he was on the field, and so that's why it's interesting. We'll get to the other cheat sheet game, and we'll actually try and keep this to cheat sheeting. This is Seahawks at Commanders. Commanders are 3-point underdogs at home. Jaden Daniels will be playing again, but then Laramie Tunsil is hurt. Terry McLaurin is hurt. And the Commanders defense is very gettable. What was your cheat sheet item for this game? Sunday Night Football too, by the way.
It's like the cheat sheet to me is like it's a Kubiak against Dan Quinn. I don't know. It's just strange to me that Dan Quinn has coached this many defenses, or there's been this much time that he spent in the NFL, like coaching against Kyle Shanahan for 2 years in Atlanta. And every year is like they run into the same problem against like this style of offense, or really any offense that has a pulse, where, man, it just feels like you look up and there's just dudes running wide open in the secondary all day long. And if they don't get any pass rush, which has been a little hit or miss lately, like you're just going to get shredded. So that's really where I'm at right now. The cheat sheet item is just kind of a long-standing theme of, hey, this guy doesn't coach well against this style of offense, and they tend to get absolutely shredded when they see crosser plays. Yeah, that's it.
It's because, my theory on all of it, especially even when he was at the Cowboys, is that, because Dan Quinn is all about effort, speed, and bodies at the ball. Okay, everyone run. When you go against a team that runs a lot of zone, if one guy is not in your gap, you are dead. You are dead. Watch those old Packers defenses when Kenny Clark was there and he was going rogue, and they played like the 49ers. 49ers would just run for 10 yards a pop on them. So that's kind of what it is. We mentioned when they played the Packers a month or so ago, I think it was it was a Thursday night game, and I was talking with Matt on his show on the Fantasy Forecast, is that LaFleur has cooked Dan Quinn every time they've faced each other. This is just another version of this offense. It's a true blue Shanahan Kubiak offense. Like it is, as old school traditional as it gets. They're super explosive through the air, which is not great against this defense, or not great for the Commanders defense. And also I just think you can run on them. They just have too many botches that happen in the run game. I will say my one little item here is look for an AJ Barner shot play. This could have been a Hail Mary item as well. Washington has given up the highest explosive pass rate to tight end targets. They've given up the highest passer rating to tight end targets this season. Maybe look for a little AJ Barner action on a little shot play, get past the 50. Here comes a little leak where he runs across the formation. I could see that because it seems like a lot of teams have identified Bobby Wagner and put a big circle on him. a lot of pass catchers crossing Bobby Wagner's face.
No, it's not his fault though. If you read Twitter, not his fault.
All pro Bobby Wagner. Preview or predictions. Commanders are 3-point underdogs at home.
Yeah, I like Seattle in this one. Just think they're a way better team.
Yeah, I think they're a very complete team. Top 10 offense, top 10 defense, top 10 special teams. Yeah, I'm also going with the Seahawks. And I just think, they have the team speed to, in the pass rush and defensive front, to kind of like limit Daniels' stuff. And when Terry's not in there, the passing game just becomes so static and just very hard to kind of like operate efficiently throughout 4 quarters. They can have some nice drives, some nice moments. It's just really tough circumstances right now. Also going with the Seahawks. We are going to take our last break, and after the break, Chuck and I did a mock draft for 2026 NFL draft, and we're going to give some of our favorite picks from that mock. See you guys in a sec. All right, we are back. Before we get to that mock draft, it's time for some Hail Marys. This is where we throw up a prayer of a prediction. Charles is still looking to get on the board, still waiting for a prayer to be answered. The Chiefs only scored 28 last week. How much did you say? Did you say 40 burger for them last week?
40. If they played the second half like the first half, they would have cleared that. Or even if they just went for it a little harder in the fourth quarter, like then I'm fighting for my life.
Felt very homecoming game vibes for them. Let's get the let's chill out in the second half. I'm 1 for 8. Bucks beat the Saints. I will say the Saints out success rated the Bucks, the only thing I care about, pretty handily in that game. Whether it was Spencer Rattler, who's now benched, or Tyler Shuck playing, still so curious what the Saints think they are and what they're doing with their team. You should be cheering for a day 3 quarterback to be your starter because of contract implications, especially when you're cap tied every single year. But I don't know. That's just me. All right, Chuck, what's your Hail Mary this week?
Well, the good team failed me last week, so I'm going back to dumpster diving. I am picking the Panthers to cover the 13-point spread against the Packers. You never know. No, this is literally just, hey,
a cover.
You really gonna lose by that, man? That's just a cover. Can you keep it within 2 touchdowns? That's all I'm asking for the Panthers. I don't think that's the worst ask ever. Their running game and offensive lineup may be solid enough to just keep this close at the end. Maybe Bryce does his little garbage time shenanigans that has people believing in him again. I think he does most weeks. That's what I'm going for. Little 2 touchdown backdoor cover. Please, Panthers. Let me get on the board.
Packers have a way of kind of keeping things tight because of just how they play, and then they just wait for a couple haymakers late. Yeah. That's funny. Just cover. Not get within a touchdown. Just cover. Yeah. Just cover.
My Hail Mary is what is propositioned as a 50-50 bet. Yes.
That's where we're at halfway through the season. For me, mine was actually, I think is kind of similar. I've had kind of similar ones before. I'm going to say the Seahawks run for their most yards in the season this year. They break 150 yards going against that Commanders defense. I should say the Seahawks running backs run for 150 yards. Their high this year is 131. I think their record under McDonald is like 170 something against the Cardinals last year. So maybe even touching that. But I do think that they can run all over them, get a whole bunch of yards. I think they really won't hit much tough sledding. But this run game has been kind of bottom half of the league, success rate wise and all that. After the bye, do they get a little juice now? Clean some stuff up? I think they get right with that run game right now and kind of keep launching towards being a legit contender, at least to me. Also, closing out the show, Charles and I released a mock draft that's out now on yahoosports.com. So please make sure to check it out. I'll run off our top 10 and we'll go through. It doesn't have to be the top 10, but a couple of our favorite pairings that we had in this mock, Charles. So Charles had odds, I had evens, but it's a collaborative effort. Saints, number 1 pick, did go with Mendoza on this one, but even though we flirted with some defensive players because we thought Rattler might be their answer. Jets, Lenoris Sellers. Titans at number 3, Ruben Bain. Cleveland Browns, Dante Moore, quarterback from Oregon. I guess I should say positions. Sellers is a quarterback. Ruben Bain's an edge. Miami Dolphins, pick 5, Spencer Feno, tackle from Utah. New York Giants, Jordan Tyson, receiver from Arizona State. Baltimore Ravens, Peter Woods, defense tackle from Clemson. Raiders, Caleb Lomu, tackle from Utah. Yes, 2 Utah offense tackles. They're good. Arizona Cardinals, Caleb Downs, safety from Ohio State. And Bengals, Keldrick Falk, edge, Auburn. What were some of your favorites? Could be your top 10. Could be the whole 32. What was one of yours, Chuck?
I think watching that Steelers game the past couple of weeks and watching the Ravens against the Bears has been a little less inclined to believe this will happen. Peter Woods to the Ravens would be awesome, I think, for both parties. Because I know Peter hasn't been as dominant as we thought he would this year, but still, when you watch Clemson, there are some plays where he is flashing like just absurd talent that I think is going to be pretty easily manifestable in the NFL. So I'm in on Peter Woods. I think, especially if Madubuke, if that ends up being a injury with his neck, that kind of messes with the rest of his career. It's good insurance, and even if he comes back, then you got just 2 wrecking balls in the middle, which they desperately need, as we've seen with their defense over the past few weeks.
And I'm rewatching it because I'm doing a big board, which will come out probably will come out tomorrow. This comes out Thursday, so we'll be out on Friday. Woods rewatching him. It's like, I get if you're he was my number one player going into the season. It's like, I get if you're down a little on him, but then you watch and you're like, yeah, there's not a lot of guys that are this big that move like this, can rush the passer, can be disruptive against the run. So it's like, he's like a top 5 guy, top 6 guy at worst, even with a quote unquote down year. The whole I mean, just watch Clemson. That's a soft team. I'll just say that. That's a soft football team when I watch that team. I'll go with one. Because spoilers again for my big board, this guy is player number 1 on my midseason big board. That's Keldrick Falk, who went to 10 to the Bengals. And even when we were doing this mock, because it's very close with him and Bain, and then Avril Reese, the linebacker from Ohio State, just defensive weapon. We had a pick 11. He's going to be up there too for me. He'll be a top 5 guy as well. It's kind of pick your flavor. But Falk is cool, man. That's a 4-3 defensive end that's built like one, but can play in any defensive system. They asked him to 2-gap. They asked him to rush the passer. He's good against the run. Watch him take on pullers. It was cool because I thought he was more of like a smooth, finessey pass rusher type and a big body, but then he'll mix it up and get ugly and scrap it, which is like, yeah. And the Auburn's not great. The whole team situation's not great, and he plays hard. And I thought that was very refreshing. He plays a little differently than I expected. His hand usage is better, and the Bengals need it. The Bengals need defense every way, shape, or form. And he has some project stuff where you can improve upon, and that's why he is my player number 1, because there's more to tap into. But I think his floor is already super high. Like, I already think he's a really good player and plays hard and has some good technique stuff. So I knew Falk would be up there for me, but he's player 1 right now for my midseason board, so I wanted to give him a little shout out. The other one I got excited about, sorry, I know it's supposed to be 1, and Stone's like, come on, man. Sonny Styles, the linebacker from Ohio State, the other one. Reese is awesome, but Styles too. We had him going to the Seahawks at pick 26. Yeah, baby. Yeah, let's just juice that unit up. Very fun, athletic linebacker. I think he just provide a different little element in that front 7. So that was another one I got a little excited about.
Is it Sony Styles?
Is it Sonny or Sony?
No, there's 2 M's. I assume Sonny. Oh,
did I say Sony?
It's Sony. Yeah,
Sonny Styles.
Sonny Styles. Yeah,
that's some
good old boy stuff.
Yeah, Sonny Styles. I'm sorry, Sonny Style up. Sonny side up. No, it's a fun class. Some good edge rushers. Quarterbacks, a lot of interesting quarterbacks. Spoilers, Mendoza's my QB1, but I'm still high on Lenore Sellers, dude. After watching him, man, I'm staying high on him. He's got more polish to him than people are realizing. But no, it's an interesting class. There's a lot of good players, but flawed. So it's going to be fun watching it kind of play out the next couple months. Some good receivers too. All right, but we're closing it out today. Chuck, Sonny, Chuck and I will be back Sunday night live after the late afternoon games wrap up, right before Sunday Night Football. We'll be reacting to Week 9 Sunday, so come hang out on YouTube or wherever. It should be a lot of fun. It always is. I always appreciate everybody that's in there. I'm Nate Tice. You can find me at Nate_Tice. That's Charles McDonald. You can find him at 4Verts. Make sure to check out our mock draft. Make sure to check out 4Verts on Yahoo Sports. Make sure to check out that Sunday live show. Also, subscribe to us, follow us, rate us wherever you get your podcasts, or watch us on YouTube on the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. You can check out all Football 301 stuff there. Thanks to Stone, Austin, and Massive behind the scenes for making us look and sound good. Thank you all for listening. See you guys next time.